I got this knife 2 weeks ago from HQ, and as soon as I got it, I thought I have to do a first prep video with this blade. The problem with that is I've had to wait 2 weeks to be able to use this knife. So what do we got? This is the Takamura SG2 stainless steel Migaki 8 1/4 inch 210 millimeter Gyuto. This has a Sanmai blade construction coming in at a 62 to 63 Rockwell. The stamp engraving is made by Takamura. We have a very minimalistic bolster with some pretty hard lines to it. A partially exposed, full tang, triple riveted Pakkawood Western style handle. Check out the knife macros video below in the description if you want to see this so up close and personal, you'll probably slice your eyeballs open. Let's just get right into prep. I'm doing some type of grilled chicken breast, potato hash, side salad. I don't know, it'll probably turn into a taco because it'll just be easier, but let's get into it. I'm going to share with you 2 reservations that I have with this knife so I can just get it out in the open. The first thing, for this blade coming in at, let me double check the price, right now, August 2025, this is $220. For a $220 knife that isn't hand forged, to not have any bit of a rounded spine or choil, to me, there's a ding there. I, unfortunately, have lost my prep every single day callus on my finger. I have a baby. I don't cook as much as I used to. So I feel it a lot more. You might, you may not. It's just a little thing they could have done. The other reservation I have with this is that knives like this that are described as lasers because of how thin and fine the geometry is, sometimes they get stuck. It's a weird thing. There's certain ingredients that just hug onto them. It's like the opposite effect of a overly thick spine, bad geometry blade that wedges things. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is cut up my little apple snack here. I also have this camera. Boop, you can see this is a new addition to the studio. We'll see how this works with this type of angle. I got a board, I attached it to the ceiling, and I got a camera rail, and it's just dangling, but it's working. Okay, so here we go. This first slice, I'll be able to tell, is it going to get stuck? That was pretty smooth. Okay. Good to go. So let's do a little push chop here. Okay. So it is a laser. What's right rolling around there? It is a laser. People are right about that. It is stupid thin and sharp. I haven't even stropped this, nothing. This is legit out of the box, rinsed off. That's it. That's all I've done. Okay. So the reason I do this to an apple is because a lot of times an apple, because it's dense and wet, similar to a sweet potato, just not as firm, you will get this just real thin blade sticking effect where it like sandwiches in, like it's almost like it creates the opening, and then as the blade gets through the product, it's so thin that the opening at the top kind of closes back up, and it just creates this little suction cup type of stickiness to it. So that did not happen. That's excellent. I think I can get over the not rounded spine and choil, but still, again, for the price, come on, just It's those little tiny things. All right, some cucumber here. Going to, yes, this is very, very smooth. I mean, I'm hardly putting any effort. The geometry of this for a very thin knife, sometimes you don't have a lot to work with in the sense of creating that really good geometry, but this is beautiful. Okay. So when I am working with a knife like this that I'm unfamiliar with, especially when I'm coming towards my hand and I want to remove any type of seed, I'm coming in, I'm getting the knife in, I'm putting a little bit of downward pressure, and then I'm moving through the product as I'm moving my hand out of the way. It's good to do anyway when you're removing seeds like this, but especially when you're working with a brand new knife that you've never used before on camera, you don't want to cut yourself. So these little things you can do to minimize the use of Band-Aids, which I caught myself the other day. I was doing one of our social media videos, and this little Enzo back here, well, no, it was the big Enzo, the Kuritsuge, or no, it was the 9.5 inch. I caught just a little bit of the heel, got me right open. Okay. This is going to be for a salad. And the reason that I'm removing the seeds is because the seeds hold on to a lot of extra liquid that will just get soggy and mushy. And when you bite into it with your salad, it's not the best. So I like removing the seeds. Okay, I am already starting to get a little bit of a flow going here with this knife. I'm feeling the weight, the balance, the distribution. And these I'm just going to put into, let's just do some just over a 1/4 inch wide. And I think I might just toss these around with a little bit of rice wine vinegar, salt, pepper, a little bit of olive oil. You see that motion that I'm doing? This like downward up type of motion. I do this a lot whenever I am working with ingredients that are bunched up like this together, that they're not super stable. I find myself doing it with rounded objects that I then try and box off to a degree. So carrot sticks, bell pepper, anything that's just not perfectly flush and stable. This was much more stable right here because I had fewer. That down up type of motion, for whatever reason, allows me to get in and get out without pushing the product around. You got to have a super sharp knife for it to work. If you don't, it's just going to push things down rather than slice through them. But that little whoop, the little like U-shaped type of motion is incredibly helpful when trying to work with objects on your cutting board that, I said objects, like what are you cutting? Like toy dinosaurs? When you have ingredients on the cutting board that aren't totally secure, it's a good way to get through it. Okay, we're gonna do some tap chop carrot coins. More of a push here to start. Okay. Now that I'm getting into a little bit thicker of part of the carrot, I am going to do them one at a time with a little bit faster of a tap chop. We're also going to get to see how is this super thin blade going to perform going through a firmer product like a carrot with a faster tap chop. So I'm going to use more of the back part of the knife here rather than the tip, just so I have a little bit more, I don't want to say downward force, just a little bit more stability in the back part of the blade. Okay, so some of you just heard that, I scrape my knives. It's a habit I can't get out of, even with using super fine Japanese knives, because I come from using Wusthoffs and Zwilling and Globals that can just handle that. And I say I come from that. It's what I used for years before I got into finer Japanese knives. Here's the deal. Hone, strop, run it over a whetstone, 5,000, good to go. I do it. It's more efficiency. I try to do a lighter scrape, but it's just something I do. If you don't want to do it, don't do it, but whatever. Okay, so I like to slow down at the very end here because I don't want to cut myself, and you should too. Aside from a good cutting board, like this larch board, and a good knife, my next favorite thing for the kitchen would be a bench scraper. Here we go. Let's I intentionally wanted to do that one backwards just to see how far I could go without really having to slow down. With the carrot, it's not sticking. It's obviously not wedging whatsoever. The biggest thing I was more worried about kind of with the apple was, is it going to create that? As thin as it is and polished, but sometimes that release is just like, oh, it's stuck. It happens with textured knives, some of these Damascus knives, and those with some of the Kazumi type of finish. There's a little bit of drag because it's not a completely smooth, polished surface. And it, oddly enough, happens with some polished knives. Okay, let's go to some green pepper here. This is how I break down a green pepper. I'm going to slice the top off, but I'm aiming so the blade slices right around the base of the stem, so I can do this. Stem pops out, trash, total usable product right there. Slice the bottom. These are kind of short and stubby, and we're going to come in. There you have it. Easy to clean, and I have all of this from the pepper that's completely usable. Okay, we're going to do, I think I'm gonna do a little Battonet and an onion julienne to have them cooked. Okay, here we go. That's another thing I have been practicing with these finer knives is when I go to push product out of the way, instead of scraping, I'm just above the cutting board, like less than 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch. So I'm not touching the board, but I'm still high enough to be able to push product out of the way. Like that. I didn't scrape, but I moved the product. You can also use your hand like that. Just depends on how much you're wanting to get dirty. Okay, again. Usable, usable, trash. Come in. Why? Didn't even cut the edge. Boom. Okay. Now, if you're in a restaurant and you have to cut absolutely perfect Battonets, Juliennes, whatever, take your time. I'm not in a restaurant. I'm cooking for my wife and I. And you know what? The whole point of cutting ingredients the same size is so they cook evenly. That's it. so they cook evenly and obviously fit in your mouth and match the other ingredients that are cut the same way. But it really comes down to evenness in cooking. And I'm telling you, if you have one that's, you know, let's say that we're talking about something, we're zoomed in and it looks this wide and the next one's like that, it's gonna be fine. It's when you have one that's like this and the other one that's like that, that's where the issue goes. Okay, next up, I'm gonna do some lettuce. Little roll there, tighter, closer to the cutting board. And then we'll just do a quick. This is not washed yet, so this will go right into my little spinner in a minute. Okay, here's what's great about my other reservation with this blade, which was the spine and the choil not being rounded. This blade is so incredibly sharp and fine that I'm not using hardly any bit of a tight grip, which is something that is going to vary from knife to knife, how you hold it, how much intensity you have in that grip, and also what you're using it well. That just like went into my cutting board and stuck for a second because this thing is so freaking sharp. Anyway, so the intensity, how much you're using to hold on to the blade, the sharper the blade, the less you need to hold on to it. You just need to guide it. And that's what I'm finding is that I'm just guiding this blade. I'm not treating it like a much wider, thicker geometry, more of a wedge type of look to it. If you were looking at like macro shots and stuff like that, this is just, it's flowing. So my first reservation regarding sticking in denser wet ingredients like the apple or even the carrot, good to go. I have no issues with this whatsoever at this point, which I am a little bit surprised about, but based off of how popular this blade is, it doesn't surprise me. Let's save the potatoes for last since they're going to be cooked with the onion anyway. Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, usually an onion you got to put a little bit of force into sometimes just because, again, it's dense and it's wet. This thing is definitely a laser. Here's what's interesting. I have other knives. I got a big shipment coming from HQ today, which I'm excited about. So I've got quite a few more coming. But I've got some knives here that at a glance you would look at and compare to this. But they don't have the right grind. They don't have the right geometry. Sometimes the finish. There's just something about them that they don't perform like this at all. So looks can be very deceiving. This is doing the job. Here we go. Let's do Tap Chop Julienne. Right there. It's higher than wider. So make it wider than higher. And it's a lot safer as you finish the onion. Look at that. Look at me flipping and using the spine. Maybe that'll help round it out a little bit. Doesn't matter. Beautiful. Okay. I like to tap chop quickly. Call it whatever you want. Am I showing off for the camera? Maybe a little bit. I've got decent knife skills, but I just enjoy doing it. I've done it since the beginning of learning how to use a knife. I got good at it. I love it. Oh, don't tap chop a fine blade like that. You're gonna dull it. Sharpen it. Have fun. It's a tool. Use it. Sharpen it. Okay, potato. We're doing some type of potato hash type thing. I'm going to caramelize the crap out of those onions. Then I'm going to mince them up. It's easier to caramelize them a little bit bigger like that and then mince them. And I'm just going to mix them in with some of the potato. So what I'm going to do is create a flat surface, potato hash, chicken, whatever, flat surface. Now we're going to slice roughly 1/4 inch. I mean, this thing is just butter. Absolute crazy. Now we're gonna, you know, I'm gonna bring this down because it's a little slippy. 1/4 inch. Take these little pieces. I'm probably not going to do all these potatoes just so this doesn't end up being a 45-minute long video in which 20 of it is me small dicing some potato. I'm not going to go crazy and trying to make this like absolutely perfect. I'm going to line these up and then here we go. What's cool about cutting these not 100% perfect is you're going to get little tiny pieces of potato that are just going to give you that, that's a nice, juicy, mildly crispy bite of potato. And then your next bite is going to be crunchy, which is just, love it. Especially that little skin part. Now, potatoes, they stick. When you have a fine knife like this or any knife, you want to be able to keep it in place. Angle your tip down. I can't even see that line. Angle your tip down, pull through in more of a slicing motion. And that way it will stay in place without sliding back with the blade. Little unstable there because of all the slippy going on. That'll do. All right, after this, I'm going to move on to my chicken. And I'm going to wrap this up and finish this downstairs. Maybe a little too early for a beer. Is it though? You'll never know. I'm gonna have a beer. It's Friday. Going to the pool with the baby because we can do that now because she's 4 months old. Okay. Love it. This is definitely going downstairs as one of my everyday driver blades. Okay, so you got your potato. I've got these in water. Take your potatoes, put it in water. I'll fish the other ones out in a bit. This is going to do two things. It's going to remove some unnecessary starch. It's also going to prevent the potatoes from browning and oxidizing. The more you know. Okay, beautiful. We've got some chicken breasts to do and we are good to go. I am feeling good about this blade, feeling good about my food prep, feeling good about having that beverage in a little bit. Ooh, oh man, I almost left it there. I can't leave a wrinkled up towel on the workbench. Okay, I've got some just regular chicken breast. What I'm going to do is slice them kind of down on an angle, thin them out. I'm not even going to worry about tenderizing them, but I am going to put these in some salt, pepper, a little bit of vinegar, olive oil. Simple. This is pretty cool. I got this on Amazon because I wanted to try it out. I believe Mercer. Is this? Yeah, Mercer. They make commercial, like my culinary school knife kit had Mercer knives in them. Some are from Germany, some are from Taiwan. They're overall good knives. Honestly, I would compare them to some of the other well-made German knives that we're all familiar with, but at quite a bit less. If you need a beater knife, soft steel that you're willing to sharpen, they're good blades. They don't hold an edge very long. Okay, but they do the trick. So why am I using this Hasegawa board? Because it's easier to clean chicken off of than a big wooden board. Am I opposed to using raw chicken on a wood board? Nope, absolutely not. That myth has been busted for a long time now, and I'm just doing this more for convenience. So this is the thick end, that's the thin end. So I'm just gonna come through on an angle, and that's it. That's kind of thin. I'm gonna take this now on a slight downward sideways angle like that. That's all I'm doing. There's nothing fancy about this. Chicken breast, it's usually I get chicken thighs because the breasts are just, it doesn't matter how you cook a chicken breast. I'm sorry, it's just not that great. I said it. I said it. My goal here is to just get some of the thicker areas to be as even as possible without tenderizing them and doing all that stuff. So some of this loosey-goosey, just pull off there. Let's see. You can see I'm just kind of, not a lot of sawing or anything like that is really needed with this knife. So it was thinner here, thicker there, which is why I came in on an angle that way. And I'm going to be cooking these and the potato hash on my Traeger flat rock. Freaking love that thing. So some blades, and this might just need a strop, some blades I can do this with and basically not even have to go like this at all. They'll just go through as is. Good, good, good. Wish I didn't get chicken all over it because I would have stropped it. Let's see if I can do this just straight without any type of back and forth. Nope. So I think if I were to just strop this, we'd be good to go. Okay. All right, so as I'm wrapping this up, I have to say I had 2 reservations about this blade. As soon as I cut into that apple, I knew one was taken care of, good to go. And in the sense of comfort, this knife is so sharp, especially if freshly stropped. It's so sharp and it's so thin and lightweight that you don't need to work the blade. You have to let the blade do the work. So if you're worried about the choil in the spine and these harder lines right at the bolster getting to your hand after a while, especially if you've lost your callus and you got a little wimpified like me, I wouldn't worry about it with this blade and just go for it. And if you're really that concerned about it, put it on a whetstone on the spine, on the choil, get some sandpaper and you can sand these down. I haven't done that to a knife yet, but a lot of people in comments from other posts say that they have. I don't think that this needs anything done with it. Now, looking at the price point, the delicate aspect of this laser of a blade, I would say it's definitely worth the money. I'm curious how this is going to hold up. I can already feel that in the use I did already, granted I was doing some tap chopping and whatnot, faster into the board. I think it held up pretty well. I usually will strop mid-prep if I find that it needs it. And I would say that for something like that, we're just wanting to push through chicken, which I can do with plenty of other knives. I would say that all I would really need to do is just hit this a couple times on a strop, wash it, dry it, strop it, and then go into my chicken prep, and I would have been totally good to go. So there you have it, folks. This is the Takamura SG2 Migaki 8 1/4 inch, 210mm Gyuto. I'm Chef Brandon with cutleryandmore.com. Thanks so much for tuning in to this first use prep sesh with the Takamura. It'll be linked in the description below, and don't forget to check out the macro video because it's just, if you like knives, it's just eye candy. So close, your eyeballs will get wet or cut. Okay. It's Friday. See y'all.